Yes, we see Ginger in her absence. Could I get a motion, please?
I move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So no discussion.
Now we have, our spot for public comment. Anything before the presentation?
Nothing in chat.
Okay, then we'll see. You want, yes, come up and you can proceed with your presentation.
Joking. We try to make this as readable as possible for everyone. The first couple of pages are our process and what we go through. We start this process as it indicates in December, and we finish it depending upon how the Board of Finance wants us to present. We finish it either late February or the beginning of March. So there were a couple of things in the first proposal that I sent you that wasn't up to date. We found a mistake in the 800 series, which Amy also saw. And when I went down to the school to make sure that we also changed our insurance. Let's share with the town in our public conversation that we share with the town. We changed those figures as well. But the process is as written, and gives you an idea that the school and the Board of Education works on this for a good 3 months or so. The next part on the budget is the executive summary, which kind of gives you that gives you the total proposed spending plan, the increase, and it has 2 parts. As some of you know who have been on the board before, it is the Lee H. Kellogg part, and it's also the Region 1 spending plan. And the Region 1 spending plan is actually 3 different distinct budgets, but we, by state law, we have to count them as one budget, and that would be the Valley Region High School budget, the pupil services budget, and the Regional School Services Center budget, which is the superintendent's office with the other administrative secretaries and so forth there. And also we try to highlight the different on the different series, those things that we think may something that stand out a little bit and need a little bit extra explanation. Then after that, we go into the we have a conclusion there, which gives you how we our process went and what we feel that the needs of the school are. Then the proposed spending plan is next at the end. There's the technology plan, which Lori Wadsworth, who is our executive assistant and also the board clerk, and also she does she helps with the technology and helps put she puts the technology budget together. But I don't know how you want to go through this. As Steve knows, and anybody else who's been on the board before knows, I can go through it series by series if you would like, or if you feel that you have a sense of the budget and would like to ask questions about different series, I'm happy to do it whatever way you would like to do that.
I think if you go through it series by series,
Okay.
and maybe just comment on anything
Sure.
that is a significant deviation, either up or down.
Okay. All right. So the first series is the series 100. That's the certified staff and the classified staff. That is the total second page of the budget. You will see that the principal's salary has gone up significantly, and that is for 2 reasons. Number one, we upped her the number of days that she works by 5 days, and we have tried over the last 2 years to put her salary at least in the average of what the other principals in this district make. We think we're in pretty good shape now, so we hope that from this point it'll be more of a normal kind of an increase rather than the large increases. On the line 12, the office administrator, is also the tech coordinator and the Board of Education secretary. That person, as the principal, is outside of the union. They negotiate with us individually. The office administrator, last year we had her for 225 days. She's the only one in the office, and as you note, she's doing these three things. It's impossible for her to finish the work, and it becomes a real crunch in the summer when there aren't any students there. So after a lot of thought and looking at other ways that we might deal with this, we just decided that it was easier, more efficient, and to our advantage to make that a full-time job. That would be a 280 hour job, 52 hours a week. The days increase for
2 hours a week.
52 weeks a year, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
And the 200, it's 260 days, which went up from 225 days, so that's
Just
35.
when I was listening and you were just testing to see if.
No, I probably said it wrong. You correct me. All right, so that's increased with 35 days, and it's a full-time job, and she's the only one there. Every school, as far as I know, except Kellogg, has at least 2 people in the office, and some have more than that. So we're just trying to even things out, and most other office people are not also the board recording secretary, and they are not the tech coordinator. So we feel that her contract goes into 2025, as does the principal. And we feel that this is a fair way for us to get everything together without always worrying about getting things done, especially in the summer. There's lots of state reports that have to be completed. And Lori can tell you if you want to talk to her yourself. She can tell you that it is almost impossible to do it within the time that was allotted. So we think that by doing those 2 things with the principal and the office administrator, we are on good footing now. You will notice that there are some decreases in the extra pay for extra duty. Title I is a little bit different than it was before. We do have one person who is retiring this year in order for a person to retire and get a severance. They have to have 20 years of service, and they get 15% of their salary according to the contract. The person that was retiring was part-time, and that's why the severance isn't quite as large as it would have been if it was a full-time person. Most of the rest of the classified staff, which we also call uncertified staff, is pretty much the same. The nurse went up a little bit more. The paraprofessional they're all about the same. The custodian is a little bit. Summer custodian is down a little bit. Our custodian is Chad Wilson, and we are extremely fortunate to have him. He's very particular about the way the school looks, much as Bill Beebe was. So we kind of lucky that we got a person in that same ilk. And he works very quickly and very efficiently. So we believe that we will not need as many folks in the summertime for the custodian. Overtime, we have not changed that amount. And the evening custodian is just a 3% increase, and that person is in the non-certified staff contract, so that's all contractual. So that's the series 100 and 200. You have any questions?
Just, I have one question or a couple of questions. Most of everything that went up is pay. Why did the custodian go up? 9.28%?
Okay, which line are you on?
14.
Because that's where he is on the scale.
It's so the space bill you're going by?
We have to go, it's a negotiation of the union, it's a union pay scale, yeah.
And perfect. 11,
Okay, that person, is, that person is an increase, again, all of that is according to, their experience and contract, yeah. If a new person came in and had more experience than the old person, then they'd be put on a different step, which would, make an increase there.
So this 40% is
This-
because this
Because
increase.
that is the 40% for that paraprofessional is because of experience and where they would fit on the contract.
now it's only one time deal, or that's something that's gonna happen every year?
Oh, no, that person who came in was a different person,
Okay,
new, and that's where they were on the pay scale, so.
okay,
That's
makes sense.
it-
Gotcha.
we've had more cards.
Yeah, or different, they had more experience or whatever, okay. Okay, anything more on those two? Okay. The next two, or actually the next one is, the benefits. Okay, one of the questions that I always get, when I present is about the health insurance. By contract, both the certified and the not certified people and unclassified people are, they do qualify for contractual, language for the health insurance. We do, always check to make sure that if they have, health insurance, with their spouse, maybe we don't try to convince them to do something differently, but, we let them know that, they do have to pay 19.5% of their plan. Anybody who takes the health insurance has to pay 19.5% of their plan, whether they are single, couple, or family. So that we give them good information because that may make a difference for them if they with the insurance, with their spouse. So we always ask that question. We do participate in the Connecticut Partnership, plan as well. And, you can see a lot of this, the unemployment compensation and the workman's compensation, they did not, thankfully, they did not change. The graduate grants, the reimbursement graduate grants, our staff is still pretty young. And some of them are still, working toward their additional 30 credits or their master's, degree. And contractually, they get 50% reimbursement, but it's based on whatever the cost is for a course, with Central Connecticut State College. So we do take, the cost from a state college, which obviously is a lot cheaper than if they are going to a private college. A lot of them go to Sacred Heart, but they still only get the 50% reimbursement based on, the tuition for courses at Central Connecticut State College. Let's see.
Pension.
But it's the same thing. It may be, yeah, it's
The contribution, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The paraprofessionals are under the, uncertified contract. It goes also to 2025. I think there was a question earlier on. Were there any negotiations this year, contract negotiations, and there were none for either. We do include the Board of Finance, a person who would like to sit in on the, negotiations for the certified people. By law, we do that, and not only does the state, send a letter to the chairman if it's, a year to do that, but we also notify. But that is not a state law, however, we're not certain, just so you.
When is the next?
2025.
So next year.
So it would, no, what will happen here is the teacher contract, we usually start in the fall of the
This year.
previous year. So I believe you'll get a notification sometime in August that we will, and we have to begin thinking about doing that particular part of negotiations. And I believe that we're gonna have to do the non-certified as well, but that doesn't, that by state law, that doesn't involve you folks, but we've always had somebody sit in.
Yeah.
You folks amongst your group have chosen wasn't the person that you would like to sit in.
And it's often been, in the past, it was Dan, who was a lawyer, and so Mike.
Yeah,
Great, thanks.
being a lawyer, I don't think
It's necessary.
it's necessary or makes much of a difference. But you folks can choose anybody. If you're an education lawyer, that would be a real advantage. You can be an education lawyer. But otherwise, I don't, maybe it makes a difference, but not too much of a difference. And you're an observer. Sometimes when we take a break, if a member of the Board of Finance does have a question about something, we talk to that, your representative at that point, but not when we're actually doing the balance. With the union or the school rep on those things. Okay. Anything else on that?
Just a, go ahead.
Okay. You wanna go, John?
I want to take it back to 100. This is, I'm sure just because they're going to turn out contracts. But on line 1, so your full-time teachers, there's an overall increase of 8.69%. How does that correlate to the contractual 2.99%?
Because those people are on different steps. And on different steps, you get a different amount of money.
So it's not 2.99 for everybody?
No, no, it's not 2.99 for everybody. You take a look at the scale. And if you want to look at the teacher's contract, sometimes it's available. And then a person is placed someplace on that scale. Usually they only go up one step, but if somebody new comes in, and we have had a few new people come in, then it might change things a little bit from the previous year. If somebody's retired or gone to another school or something like that.
Okay.
All right? And I don't know if that answered your question, John.
No, it does not.
Okay,
I'm sure.
yes, all right. If there's a changeover from a bachelor's to a master's or a master's to a 6th year, that's correct. That also would affect it as well. And we do have a young staff, so some of those folks might be getting their master's degree, which would put them over to the next column, if you will. All right, Tom.
So number 19, Series 200, so it's a 2% increase, and then it shows a decrease. Is that because of that change in the number of participants in the plan?
Yes. And how they participate, whether they participate as a family, 2 people or 1.
Right.
Sometimes,
Status.
and sometimes the teachers that have older children, those children age out of the program and can no longer be part of the health insurance.
When you get married.
Or they get married, right? They're not on the insurance for some reason or another. So we might have go from a family, for instance, to somebody that's couple.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anything else on any one of those 2? Okay. All right, these are purchase services, and a lot of these are the yearbook. The 8th graders have a little yearbook that they put together, and they do fundraisers. Also, they help pay for that. There's some student activities. We have $2,500 for that. That one is a funding for whole school educational opportunities and activities. And it is noted in your notes above that PBIS, positive behavior intervention supports is one, social and emotional learning is another one that line supports. Items needed to promote culture and climate is another one. If there's a Veterans Day celebration, pep rally, an author visit, community visits, field-based, things like that. That's what that line covers. Our outdoor education program, which was mentioned in the beginning, is an extremely important part of our school. For those of you who have been around long enough, like you maybe.
Oh, I remember.
Okay.
That's funny.
And Emily, but you especially, way back when.
Yeah.
When my son, who's gonna be 51, was at the school, okay? They do outdoor ed programs. They either go to like someplace in Vermont, or there's a camp that they go to for a week. They have gone in the past, they've gone in the wintertime to New Jersey to a program. They've gone down to Southern Connecticut to a program. And we have done this for years and years and years and years. And we do alternate it years and with the outdoor ed programs. They went last year. So this coming year,
This coming year, we are not taking the Nature's Classroom trip, but we are working with a consultant at Thorny to have outdoor adventures, that are day trips.
so that
Alternated every other year.
every other year, right? So that nobody ever gets chipped out of going on an outdoor ed
Yeah,
program.
we take 6 and 7 together,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, and you will notice that line is down a little bit because it's an off year. We have some really interesting assembly programs. The percentages are quite a bit, but the cost is really not. And actually on the assembly programs, folks, which is the equivalent of some other schools PTA, or PTO, they do a lot of fundraising for us. And they provide us with funds also to help pay for any kind of assembly programs. Staff development is a big one. A lot of the staff development is required by the state. And most of that learning is learning opportunities outside the region. Sometimes it could be an individual opportunity. Sometimes there may be 2 or 3 people that are involved in doing something. And we give you an example there for line 36 that as the state mandates change, teachers need training and professional development to comply. Some of these trainings take place outside of the district. For instance, we've done a lot in the last couple of years about new science curriculum. I think the social studies curriculum is set front and center this year. So those things are ongoing. And I did look before I came here tonight, just out of curiosity. I did look at all the new things that the state requires. And it was like 37 or 38 different things that will apply to our school districts. So there's a lot there that the state requires. In-service learning is the same. We've budgeted the same, but that hasn't gone up. So, we are.
These two very different staff development and service learning.
They're staff
I
development.
mean, they're both staff development, but different types.
Yes, different types. It depends.
Right.
It depends what we're doing, but the state does require an awful lot.
It gives you 2 avenues in which to accomplish those things.
And one avenue is required.
It's something for with Region 1, so that we can combine opportunities and limit costs,
Great.
share costs, and then some are specific to our goals for our building and our improvement plans.
The ones that remain in our building, as Stacy will tell you, are ones that involve more our school and our staff working together cooperatively on things. The regional ones, they're the ones where we might have, our teachers might have to go someplace else. Also, we bring in, different times, we bring in experts in different areas, which has been extremely helpful to our staff. The environmental testing is, just a given, we have to do it. Professional services, as you can see from the explanation there, we have to monitor fire and security system, environmental reporting, we might have legal fees, consulting position, services, food services, consultant, and the like. The middle school sports and activity, most of you know this, I think, but some of you probably don't. We no longer do sports at our own school. We have a region-wide sports and activities program where all the schools participate in each of the sports. The fall sports are boys and girls soccer, cross country, and then we have some things down at the center at the high school for things like robotics or different kinds of things that interest kids, like painting or sculpturing or something of that sort. And each we pay our share of whatever it costs to run the program. And we usually find out what our share is going to be. Well, actually, we budget an amount. But then each season, because depending on the number of students that participate, then we're kind of given a bill and then we pay it. So we base our numbers on past experience.
So the number being down is either less participating students or a smaller student base.
That's right. Okay, and then the telecom internet, up 2%, and technology support, that stayed even. The next series,
So
you have a question?
a weird question, it's nothing major.
Okay.
It's just, we're just curious why it's organized so that, I mean, you have under, Series 500, you have like phone and other things like that. You know, telephone services, but you have telecom and purchase services.
Right, there's a definition for each series. And what you see under the 400 series are the items that fit under that series.
And like field trips is Series 500 where wouldn't be purchase services.
No, that we are, those series we are given. And those are the series we have to use, and, that's what we do use. There's nothing that's left out, there's nothing that's additional.
It's just
What we
really
use is
organized.
all in there under the proper series.
And it's organized based on something that you're told by the state.
By the state or by our auditor or whatever, okay? All right, so I think we're on the 400 series, right?
And Pat,
Yes,
the student activities had no budget line prior. Is that because it was in another area, or you didn't really, or you wanted to draw attention to it?
It was something that we were taking money from other lines for, and just in talking and seeing other schools, what they were doing, it just made more sense to
To have its own
give it
line.
its own line.
and this, and you know, this line will keep going. If you know about the budgeting section, Joe, you know that we have to carry a line for 3 years. Even if it has zero, but
Zero on it.
we don't have to carry that line because we put something in it that is more appropriate for what we were doing by taking from other lines. Okay. Any other questions about the 300 series before going to the 400 series? Okay, 400 series, are things like the water, and, the aquarium is our water provider. And they have told us there is not going to be any increase for the school. However, as we understand it, anybody who's on groundwater won't be that lucky. They will have substantial increase. But we double checked because we read it, I read this and then I thought, oh boy. So we checked it out and we talked to Aquarian, and that was what we were told. The copy release, we have to, it costs what it costs to do that. And if you look at, it includes the basic leasing and service contract plus usage. And sometimes the school has a lot of usage on it.
Yeah, obviously you're anticipating a lot more than you had budgeted, and so you're being more.
Yes, we anticipated a lot more than we had budgeted, and so
Yeah.
we're trying to be a little bit more
Correct.
cautious. Yeah. All right, the lawn care, that has gone up a little bit. We were able to renew our, I think we told you that. We were able to renew our lawn services with the same person we had. We were able to extend our contract, which was good for us. We didn't have to go out to bid or anything. And it was a smart move for us because it only cost us $400. Equipment maintenance, and as you read your thing, that is like nursing equipment, the water softener, musical instruments, piano tuning, fire extinguishers and all that. And anybody who's in the fire department can tell you that very strict regulations in terms of making sure those are properly maintained. We have 2 septic tanks. It's the term for one of the septic tanks to be, for one of them to be cleaned this year. We do it yearly. Facility maintenance is the upkeep and repairs to the heating, plumbing, safety system, and building maintenance. We substantially over this year. So again, we're trying to be more realistic. Chad and the building committee, actually, they do a look-see at what seems to be needed for next year. And based on what is needed, that's where we come up with that with that figure. And the building committee, by the way, is people from the community, plus Chad, Bill Beebe, a couple of board members and Stacy. And it's very well rounded, and the people that are on the building committee know about this building, and they know about how to go about doing building and
Very
doing.
intimate, they know it intimately.
Yes, they do know it.
Yeah,
intimately.
over
We
years
have
and
Bill,
years.
Bill Beebe, our former custodian, head custodian is on that committee, Lieutenant Law is on that committee. And other people who are, Maria Bolson, who's a former principal of the school, is on that committee. She knows that building, which is good. And then, Stacy and myself, is on that committee.
Allows you to
And
be-
Sam Herrick, who also helps coordinate. He's a business manager, for those of you who do not know, at the region 1. And he knows everything about this district that there is to know. We have been lucky to keep him over the years. So that's what that one is all about. And that's more long-term plan maintenance. We do have to do some things this year in terms of painting and some other projects. The door at the east end of the school, we replaced that door, but it doesn't shut properly, and we've had people come in, and there's something wrong with the wiring in the push bar. So we're trying to get that, fixed and working correctly. So those are some of the things that we are looking at for building improvements. Any questions there about either one of those? Okay. Okay, these are purchase service. The daily transportation is up. Our contract, our contract with All Star, it was up. This is at the end of 2025. So it was contract started 2024 to 2025 through 2028, 2029. So it was a new contract this year. And what they initially wanted to charge us was a lot more than this. Thankfully, Sam is a master at negotiating with these folks. And we got what we believe is a very fair deal, given what transportation prices have become lately. Okay, next are the field trips. So that in that line is program fees, the transportation and the buses. If we have all-star buses, they charge $80 an hour. We go to places like the Capitol Building in Hartford, the Institute of Indian Affairs in Washington, Peabody Museum in New Haven. The kids, we just
The Clark.
We just went to the Clark.
and with the
Yeah.
Clark Museum up in Lennox, I guess it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the kids had a great experience there, and it's good to get them out of Falls Village. Not that Falls Village is wonderful. People like Steve and me have lived here a long time. Steve all his life. Another one of our board members, Emily, has been here all her life. Denise, I think, has been pretty much here except for a little
stint here and there.
someplace else. For me, I wouldn't live anyplace else but this area, and
You don't mind visiting the Clark, probably.
no, I don't. I wish I had been invited to be a chaperone. I would have loved to have gone up there.
And
Shame on you, Stacy, for not asking me. Okay, and then the property liability insurance, that property liability insurance, was 0 increase. That's the one we didn't know about at first. So we were told 3%, and then Michelle got the information and passed it on to me. And that was kind of a last minute change. Yeah.
That was coming, shows something what gave us.
Well, she gave me the communication actually, so we could change that. The cyber insurance, I know you like us to partner with the town when we can. They won't partner with the town. And I don't know, I'm happy to partner with the town. I think that's because we are a school. Okay, and the school has more liability. Um,
I also don't like doing separate networks anymore, they used to consider that, they can.
there's our experts, say that a little bit louder.
Separate networks, like we have our separate.
Okay.
They don't wanna cover that anymore, they feel they used to. Be a little more, they don't have to. For all in our house.
And it's worth it.
Yes,
It's worth the cybersecurity these days, it's worth it.
Right.
Have a good one.
So that is a cost that we really can't control. Okay, and then we have the student physicals, which we must do annually according to state law. Then there we have things like postage and printing, the summer school. On the summer school, um, it's, it's decreased based on the participation from 2023. We have some people on our staff that will be part of the summer school. There's two different summer schools too. There's one that's more of a summer school where you do lots of new and interesting things. There are other summer schools that are more instructional in nature. Now, it's good for the kids. We are able, it helps the teachers when they come back to school because we are able to keep them at a place where they were when they left school and maybe even rise them a little bit above that. And then the next to our staff and the principal in terms of travel. We don't do a whole lot of traveling, but there are some times that we do have to travel, especially if there's some kind of a program that they need to go to that's not in our building. And then the technology hardware, and that's where Lori comes in, and all of that is spelled out in a little bit more detail at the end of this proposed budget. At the end where you have the technology, all of that, all those figures in there are in here, but Lori kindly pulled them out for us so that you could, if you wanted to see more about what the technology was about, that you could see that. Anything there?
It's one thing for me on number 50, the transportation. It did say in the description, the students transport to Oliver Wolfett. Is it the regional level or is that student activities?
No, we have to pay for the transportation to Oliver Wolcott.
Okay.
We do.
That's part of it.
Yes, that's part of our transportation bill.
We have a student with that.
Any student that goes to Oliver Wolcott, we have to pay for.
Even though they're in ninth and eighth.
So we have
ninth.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We have to pay.
Our budget.
And that
Season
comes-
one.
Right, that comes from our budget, correct. Each town has to provide transportation for their kids to Oliver Wolcott. And by the way, for those of you who don't know too much about Oliver Wolcott, they've expanded their choices over there. And Oliver Wolcott is really the best place for some of our youngsters.
That's incredible.
And it's an incredible school. They've increased their offerings. My oldest son went there and they've increased their offerings, but they probably increased their offerings by at least a dozen.
It's a waiting list to get in.
It is a waiting list to get in. They also, Oliver Wolcott, what they also do is they also, kids that have 501s programs, they do set aside a certain number of openings for those youngsters as well. Okay. Any other questions on the 500 series? Okay, here is supplies, and here's where a lot of this is supplies that the teachers need, instructional supplies. And some of these in the instructional supplies, sometimes they are consumable, but sometimes we are able to go every other year with these things, especially if we can get a good deal by buying in bulk. Art supplies are also consumable, and of course they support the art program. Same with the equipment for the music, new instrument lesson books, hard copies and virtual apps and so forth. We provide instruments for the students. Like a clarinet, you need a reed. You don't think much about a reed, but it's pretty expensive to replace a reed. So I will say that our teachers are very, very conservative in what they and what they ask for, and honestly, they don't ask for anything they don't need. Period. The athletic equipment is what we need to provide the kids, who, some of that equipment may be for, our PE. Most of that equipment is for our PE program. But the equipment for the sports, that comes out of the regional sports budget. If they need to have uniforms, or they provide the, baseball, they provide the bats and the balls and the catchers, yeah, catchers equipment, things of that sort. Then science supplies. Again, you will see as you look down these lines from 63 to 71, right through the nursing supplies, there is no increase. So you can see that the teachers are being very discerning. Let's see, technology applications. Well, the technology where Tom can tell you the changing world that is.
Never goes down.
Yeah, so we have to keep up with that. Again, a huge a pretty big percentage increase, but not so big of a dollar increase there. We are going to be a little bit under budget for accounting supplies, office supplies, no increase on graduation or custodial supplies. You can see how good everybody's been about saving electricity, and
That's where I'm confused.
why would you be confused?
I mean, I'm so glad they're saving electricity. It's mostly in the 79 to 81,
That's because we have a contracted price. Okay, and sometimes we don't get that contracted price until after we present the budget to you folks.
right?
This year, we are lucky we have the contracted price. You can see that
Yeah.
propane, we have a contracted price, a set price for $5,500 of $1.49. And I believe that if we don't use everything, we have to use that up at $1.49 before we go into the next contract. Fuel oil. By the way, if those of you don't know, we have two ways of heating that building. One is by propane and one is by fuel oil. And maybe someday we'll be able to change it all over to propane, but not right now.
We need to make mechanical improvements, so that's being us more as well.
We did a major project in the lower wing, the K12 wing, and changed some things over, and it made it more energy efficient.
Yeah,
And then the roof we replaced, which
It's
is good.
leaking so much.
we're not.
Well, not the section we replaced it.
Yeah.
We're-
So it's five with it.
Yeah,
Yes, that's true.
and of course,
I just worry about the future.
the Kellogg building, even the newer part, which was built around 1972, I believe. Even that was very open and full of light, which, open and full of light, and the glass that was used then probably isn't as efficient as what we might use today in open lighted spaces like that. So we are very fortunate in those three lines to be down a bit. But we also, the other thing that we supply, we have to pay the bus company for the buses, but we also provide the fuel for the buses. Okay, so that is down a little bit as well.
The diesel.
Yep, that's what the fuel diesel is, yeah. Got to power somehow, right?
Yeah, and that's also under negotiated contract.
Those prices are all negotiated, correct? We have not done anything more with upping the line items for library books, library supplies, professional publications. We are down mostly because professional publications, you can get them online. Yeah. Okay, so any questions there?
Yeah, question.
Okay.
So back a ways, we discussed, the busing, it was 144,000.
Okay, so you're on the page before this?
Yeah, daily transportation.
Yeah.
144.
Yeah.
That they don't include fuel for that?
No, none of them. If you have to provide,
vehicle.
you have to provide your own fuel, all of them provide your own fuel.
Get it?
Yeah,
Sorry.
Well,
And
to be honest with you, Steve, I think for some of these bus companies, it's the only way they make money. And we are very fortunate, Sam is so good at negotiating.
in a way, it's probably just, it's better for us.
Yes, because if we don't use,
There would be a surcharge on it.
right,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. Okay, so any more in the 500 or 600? No. Yeah. So now we go to the 700 is property, non-instructional equipment. It's not, uh, it's not used for instruction. It'd be things like desk, chairs, stools, bookcases, that sort of thing, children. And we the budget a little bit. Some of the things that we have there in the way of desk and chairs and so forth. Maybe go back to the time when Denise was there.
Some of them, I'm sure.
But I
Took them over because I always put my name on it.
oh, okay. We wouldn't find a piece of hard gum under there.
as Bill Beebe never had that say.
Yeah, you know.
No, because our kids worked in the school in the summer. It's great.
That's right, that was
That was Irv Lovett.
Yeah.
Yes, Irv Lovett.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Irv Lovett was the janitor many years ago.
Mhm.
And the softball field up on the hill is, that was named after him, the board named that after him. Okay, so dues and fees they are set for us, and that would be for, an advanced, school membership, and they are consultants, and dues and fees for CABES, which includes a policy service. You would not believe the number of policies. I don't know whether I have the good fortune or not so good fortune of serving on for policy both at Kellogg and at the high school. And it's amazing how many policies are changed. And even if you've got policies that are okay, you still have to review them and you still have to put a new date on them and put it new in your policy book. And before Lisa leaves, she is trying to make sure that all the policies are pretty much done and updated in every school. Before she leaves. She's been a real tiger on that one. And also, to give real credit also to Tina Bunce, which is Lisa's executive secretary. Tina and Lisa have worked really hard on this. And some of our policies are plumbing in all of the schools. We do have the option of having some of our policies be more tailored to our school if need be, so that, we just don't, we look at them, we just don't approve them. If we think we need something else in them, we put that something else in them. Then the capital expenses are mixed. And the capital technology transfer, we $10,000 in it, the last couple of years. And our capital building transfer, we put money in it, and we did take money from our capital building transfer with Board of Finance's permission last year. And with some ARPA money, and then taking money from that capital transfer, we were able to cover the cost of the section of roof we did at Kellogg. Just so you know, the building committee at Kellogg is looking at another section of roof. We are going to move forward to see, what it would cost, because we're doing it section by section. It gives us a little bit, believe it or not, it gives us a little bit more flexibility. Especially to have it done in the summer, because sometimes we do kind of a fill-in job for a company that has a much larger job. And we are very lucky that Stacy has connections in the roofing business. Stacy's dad owned a roofing business. So we have an expert coming to look at our roofs, in addition to Sam.
Tired.
And, but that's why he can come and do it, right? Yeah. So, but we are looking at that. Michelle had to leave, I guess, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that we took about $60,000 last year for that section of the roof out. I think we had about 120 or 125. So we have an amount left. I can, when we go to the hearing, I can make sure that I have that, I have that number. It's somewhere in that, it's somewhere in that range, though.
So you're anticipating needing the 30,000 from the capital reserves? Is that what that is, or no?
This capital technology transfer, we have a technology,
Fund.
right, and we also have the capital building transfer,
Right, so
and
these
that
are-
money,
put the-
that money goes.
into
If
the
it stays in our budget, that money would go into the capital
reserves.
reserve.
Great, got it,
Correct.
great.
And then at the end, we have a slight decrease in the high school tuition. 0.64, slight increase in pupil services, our share 4.57, and administrative services 3.6. So the total regional budget is an increase of 1.117, and the Kellogg budget is an increase of 3.84, and the total increase is 2.81. And I want you to know that we work very hard to keep these costs down. I think for those of you who have been on the board before, you know that we are very careful, and we don't spend if we don't have to spend, and we don't put things in the budget that we don't really need. Now, just just for you to know, we hope that some of you on the Board of Finance will be able to go to the meeting tomorrow night at the high school in room 123, where there will be a hearing on the regional school district #1 budget. And David had
Tomorrow, what time?
around 6:30 in room 133. David had asked about some things about the high school and Kellogg's budget. We do not do the high school by kids in each grade, like the freshman class, the sophomore class, the junior class, and so forth. But just so you know, our enrollment for this year, and the budget is always based as what the enrollment is as of October 1st of 2023. So as of October 21st of 2023,
This is Kellogg or high school?
the total enrollment was 289 kids, the total enrollment. The enrollment from Kellogg's enrollment was 23 youngsters. In the 23-24 budget, our share was about just almost 8%, okay? And so that's the numbers for that. This is the member town assessments. Now, for Canaan,
289?
yeah,
Not even 300.
but understand the thing that if you haven't lived here for a long time, or you didn't go to the high school, I don't know where you at, Steve.
I was down there, we had
Yeah.
almost 500.
Yes, when the school first started, we had between 275 and 300 kids. So the enrollment has gone up. In the 60s, about 1967 or 68, I don't know when you graduated. There was a
Not that far back.
graduated that far back. My class was the biggest class that graduated from there in 1964. But it went up in the 70s, it went up to, like you said, over 500 kids. Okay. But you know, times have changed. Parents, you have both parents working, that you don't have as many kids in the family. So it has gone down. There's a lot of these were revenues for the town that I just gave you based on enrollment. And this was for kind of an assessment, but our actual enrollment for that was Housatonic Valley Regional High School. We also have enrollment for pupil services. Now, here's the difference. For Housatonic Valley Regional High School, our enrollment is only the kids that actually go to the high school. For pupil services, it is all the kids that Canaan has, including Kellogg and the high school. And that number, as of October 1st of 2023, was 76.
That's all K through 12 students,
That's it.
and that's 76.
Yeah, and that's what the assessment is based on for pupil services. And also for regional school
That's
services.
people service.
That's for people services, and 76 is also, the number used for, was for this office, regional services. Regional school services, something, okay, so I was asked that, okay, so that's that one. So
What's our Kellogg, for what is our budget anticipating for Kellogg's in
Kellogg's
for
in-
next year?
right now, as of October 1st, we had 83 students. Obviously, our eighth graders are going to go. We have 13 eighth graders, we have 10 kindergartners. We anticipate about the same number. We anticipate about the same number of kindergartners, but I can't tell you exactly because the kindergarten registration goes on at least through May. Okay, we have a registration now that is 8. We expect a few more. So
So 83 is what we had for 23, 24, or October 23.
yeah, October
23.
1st of 2023, correct,
Mhm.
okay?
Mhm.
Okay, I don't know if I can give you any other information. If you have any other questions, I'll try to answer them.
I have a question going back to Series 900. 10,000 for technology, 20,000 for the building.
Yep,
Is this money you anticipate spending in the coming fiscal year? Is this a reserve you're setting aside?
this is the reserve we're setting aside. So we set this aside annually. Hopefully it builds up. Hopefully when we have a major repair at the school, we'll come to you and say we have a major repair. It's going to cost us X number of dollars. We have that, or whatever the amount is, in that account. All we need is your permission and a town meeting. We're taking it out of that account.
Didn't we hear though from King and King that should be in the municipal budget and not in the Board of Ed budget
No,
in their management letter?
no, he was talking about, he was saying that at the end of the year, there was a transaction and it had, they had wanted it to happen in last fiscal year. And he said, you can't do that. It has to be in the fiscal year in which you recorded it. And what the school had wanted us to do, it was, can you put it back in our reserve account?
And we couldn't do
And we
that.
couldn't do it. So it was a particular transaction that was, the timing was off.
Right, and what we've been instructed to do, and if we have any unexpended funds in this current year's budget, what we will do is we will write you a letter and ask for permission to take X number of dollars out of the unexpended funds to be placed in that budget, hoping that you would approve it, because it's to the benefit of the town for you to approve it, to have that money set aside.
It's like your savings account.
Can I ask you guys to clear that with King and King, so then we're not gonna have the same problem at the end of next year?
We actually have it in their management letter. If you want.
I know, that's why I'm raising.
Well, we won't do that because we know now not, we did not realize that we had to ask the Board of Finance to do that. We won't do that. If we have unexpended funds, we will not
Yeah.
automatically ask the treasurer to transfer it to that account. We will come to you, ask your permission.
But there were, as I recall, there were two aspects to King and King's letter. One was the issue you just mentioned. The other was just whether it is proper for the Board of Education to set up its own reserves.
It's not our reserve, it's the town's reserve.
So is this gonna be on the municipal budget or on the BOE?
The account is in the town's name. It's not, it's for the Board of Education. We cannot take money out of that. We cannot put money into it without your permission.
No, I understand that, but is this $30,000 gonna be part of the BOE budget?
Yes, it is part of the BOE.
So that's what I have a question about. Because when we attended the conference on municipalities, we got the message that that was not something that was permissible because it went beyond paying for the financial costs that run the school for the year. And I think King and King, I'm not certain, made the same point, not the other point, made but this additional point that the Board of Education budget should not include set-asides for future expenses. So if we could clear that with.
Well, that would be, I think that would be that would be something that the Board of Finance somebody on the Board of Finance should talk to King and King about that. And if they say we shouldn't have enough budget, we'll take it out.
But so that we understand the facts, this is money that you do not intend to spend in this coming fiscal year.
In this budget,
Yes, this $30,000.
This $30,000 we're putting in next year's budget that would be reserved,
Right, not spent on. the
not spent on
Okay.
anything else except putting in those two accounts.
So whether we're, and I see what you're saying, so whether we're doing it here in this bucket, or we're doing it in the municipal, it's just where are we doing it? We're putting,
It's a wash, right?
it's a wash,
Yeah.
but I understand what you're saying from an accounting perspective. How would
I
they
think
like
they
to
said
do
it
it percentage?
managing there.
Yeah, well, I think, maybe they could give us a call and find out about that. And if it's not permissible in our budget, we'll take it out. Budget will be $30,000 less, and we would hope that it would go into the municipal budget so that we would keep building up those accounts. That would be the only difference. And of course, we would, Dave and I, would explain that at the hearing if that would be the case. I think the wind died down. Okay, the other part of our budget, is just an information section for you, which I'm sure Tom can tell you a lot about that. At the very end, it's a tech budget proposal and the detail, everything that's in this. Everything that's in this, if you look at the very first page at the top, where it says technology applications, technology hardware, technology supplies, telecommunication, technology support. It notes the lines where you find it in our budget and the total amount, and then it talks about what we use, and some of the things that we mentioned, what they are for, the network software, the administrative application, the regional contracts. And you go on to the next page, things that are used for the teachers of the student, technology hardware, technology supplies, the internet telecommunication technology support. And again, thank you, Lori, for putting all of that together for us and for you and for anybody else that looks at this proposal.
I'd just like to say that this is, put together a lot better than it has been in the past. It makes a lot more sense this year. To see how
Pretty much like it was last year, but I'm glad that you think it's good.
it appears to me that it's,
I mean, one thing, and I'm in technology, but I don't know how every single application here does, because I'm not in the education system. So maybe a little bit more clarity on some of the things and what they're used for would be interesting. I don't know if it makes a difference to what our decision would be, but is there some of the software I recognize, like Power School, some other things, but some of it I don't. It's
Right, and-
obviously squarely in the educational space, then I don't know.
A lot of it was not from their applications that we're all using to be part of the region.
Right, it makes total sense, just.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can, one from the other in some cases, so. It's,
So I have a question along the lines of what Tom had, and I may have just missed it. So we have cybersecurity insurance in case something happens. What is our cybersecurity services for the school?
What do you mean?
I mean, what do you set up to protect?
Well, we have internal software.
That, and that's all in this.
Yeah, we have backup testing, the data hall, so
Yeah.
the contract would actually contract for the high school.
I use them too.
So we do, they do give our backups, they do the testing.
Yeah, so that's,
So we
part of
have-
your tech budget.
And when we apply for cyber insurance, we have to answer all those questions, a litany of questions about what are you doing, how often are you doing it? The other thing that's actually helpful to us is that we're, basically getting rid of, it was little Chromebooks, that will for students, like, the office, we have windows, and we have Chromebooks, we're not having Chromebooks in the class, so when this is what really drives your software, so we,
For application.
yeah.
so
So,
I filled out a cybersecurity insurance form
yeah,
to figure out where you land.
yeah,
And there are questions that they ask you that intentionally drive the price up, because they're impossible to answer in a way that really, it's cost effective,
Yeah.
so it's really
If
tricky.
you wants to look at the cyber insurance application, you'll see the type of things that we're doing with the deficiency and progression.
Well, it's-
And I'm assuming education of the students is also.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
First and foremost, because
Yeah.
that's where it starts.
Yeah. And we have a really great, internet watchdog program called, it's a little pricey, but we get alerts, we get alerts.
So very-
And it is pricey, it's itemized on there, but literally the student, Google's,
A certain word,
it's really good.
You go to a website. And I get an alert immediately with a screenshot, I can go, I've literally walked into a classroom and I'm like, hey, what are you guys working on? And, you know, like, well, this is what I can see you're working on, like, let's go talk about it, you know, just trying
So
to.
it's on your side then, it's not like
So-
on the CEN side. It's
No,
on your
it's on
side.
our side,
Yeah,
Proactive.
very
So
proactive.
very proactive.
So it seems like they're independent, but
Tom's
trying to
Yeah.
keep them,
It's,
they're all.
it's gonna carry with them forever.
Yes, take care of it.
Right.
I think that John just got the letter from Canaan, and Denise, I just found it, and Dave just handed it to me.
The very last.
We're not holding the funds from one year to the other, so maybe,
I think you are. If you're not gonna spend it next year, that's exactly what you do.
well, we're putting it in an account, so I'm not sure how we're holding it.
But they're saying here,
Oh, I know what they're saying, but,
well, we can check with them, but I think this is precisely what they said, that should be in the town budget, not in the week.
sure, you know, if that's what they say we should do, we'll certainly take it out, and if the town needs to meet their budget, we will.
And
I will,
if that is the case, I think it would be valuable for communication to come from the Board of Education to request that the town make those, put that in their budget then, as a reserve contribution,
okay,
right?
yeah, I mean, we'll do whatever you want, we will certainly write a letter to the Board of Finance, should we have any, if we should have any unexpended funds, because I will tell you that we believe very strongly that it benefits the town to put that money in the reserve account. We just didn't know. We've been doing this for years. And we've been spending our budget for years, and this is the first time King after 70. So maybe it was because we asked it to be put in much later, and there was a question about it, and that's how this came up. I don't know. But you know, we'll do whatever the auditors tell us to do, but I would certainly encourage the Board of Selectmen, the municipal, and for the Board of Finance to make sure that that does get into those funds. We just want to make it easier for the town in the long run, so that maybe we have something saved up for something that is a major project. But I guess, will you still call them, Dave, and let me know?
It'd be a budget year if we didn't have another revision before the town meeting.
Of course.
That's great.
Okay,
Yeah, I agree with
and,
Steve.
and the only other thing that, there's a lot of new members on the board. And the thing that is different about the Board of Education than the municipal budget is that the Board of Finance, of course, has control over the money. But the Board of Education itself is an agent of the state. So that becomes a little confusing for some people, but most of you are very smart people, so, well, you know, you all, myself excluded, lots of us. I knew this from the beginning, but new members of the Board of Finance might not know that, but maybe you do know that from so. I was thinking of the very new members who have never served on the committee. I know John has never served on the board. So I say that basically, I guess, for you and Ginger, I know is in finance, does finance, so.
We actually went through it. I did a whole budget process introduction that explained to people that Board of Education, you know, we don't touch how you spend. your money.
Exactly.
It's mostly just the bottom line, with
That's right.
very different from the municipal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been on both ends of the spectrum
Yes.
here. So, you know, we have to think about which one I'm doing to make sure that I'm getting everything right.
Right, yeah.
Is there anything else that I can help or assist with, or anybody else who's on the board this year?
Great presentation.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
and have you set a date yet? I suspect maybe not. Have you set a date yet for the hearing?
We have Monday on our agenda to
Yes,
set
yeah.
that.
So on your regular meeting agenda, and you guys meet later, meet second now after the. Okay. All right, then if you would let me know, David, you know, regarding those funds, I would appreciate that. And obviously, if it's different, we'll change it and give you a new copy. Also, but I don't think that we have anything else that now that we know. But what I have found helpful in the past is if there's something happens between now and the time that you warn the meeting. That, I would call David and just say, hey, something has changed again. Maybe it would be minor, but we would like to have it as close to accurate as we possibly can. Okay? All right, so just let me know when you find out. That'd be great.
Do we have any other public comment? Well, first of all, do I have a motion to receive Board of Education proposed budget?
Second.
And all in favor? All right.
Can we amend that? Going back to Lieutenant Left says it's supposed to include the dollar amount of the bottom line in your motion.
Okay,
So to receive the budget as presented.
that would be on page 12, I think.
Yeah.
Budget and
Yes.
Amy, do you have that?
Yeah, it's, so you would amend it to say that the proposed budget of $3,722,571.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, who made the motion?
John.
No.
We didn't know that.
And I just said it. So that's it.
Dave, can I raise a question of what our process is going forward? I anticipate that we'll discuss at our meeting on Monday night any other questions that we have among ourselves or any recommendations that we want to make to change either the municipal or the education budget. And if there are changes or not, one way we would either approve the budget or approve the budget as
Or,
amended.
I mean, we would recommend it to town meeting,
Yeah, and then we, excuse me, we recommend.
hearing.
town meeting.
here, for the hearing.
Yes, to help us do that, because I didn't know this till I looked at the statute. We have a 10-day window. The Board of Ed budget, not for the municipal budget, to get back with any suggestions we have. So that means by the 13th of the month, we have to come to a decision on all this stuff. And we have to come to a decision on the municipal budget as well. So I raised this at our last meeting. I'm going to raise it again. I think in order to do this in a way that won't end up causing surprises about how we finance all of this stuff, I would like the treasurer's office to get to us so that we've got it in time to consider it at the Monday meeting. What the revenue would be based on the existing mill rate and whatever the grant list is now, plus their best guess of any non-tax revenue that we're gonna in the states, wherever, so that we know, we have a sense of how big of a hole we have to fill.
I don't know if we've, in the past at least, correct me if I'm wrong, we have never been able to get that this early, and I don't know why though.
Yeah, it doesn't sound.
We've asked for it.
Very difficult. It's 21% of the grand list, plus whatever guess they have. I think I look at last year's numbers. It's just to help us. It's an estimate of revenue that we got from places other than collecting taxes.
So I think, meantime, I'm sorry to interrupt. One thing that we don't know is how much the state will be giving us. We usually don't find that out until the end of April, early May.
Right.
And as you'll find out, most towns operate with that dearth of knowledge that you don't know exactly what the state. And you can't even give it sometimes your best estimate. We will find out or try to find out what their best estimate is, but again, it's a best estimate.
Well, how wide has the range been over the last few years?
It can be really crazy.
It's like, how much?
Wow.
Are you off by $100,000 or less than that?
We've always, to the best of my recollection, in the time I've served as a selectman, we've been off probably with the state revenue somewhere between 75, over 180, if you remember correctly.
It can really
Yeah.
vary. Maybe
That's close enough to give us some bookends so that we know how big the hole.
Right.
That we.
We'll try and get what we can from the state, but I'll be perfectly transparent here, we may not be able to get that number because.
And the way it's usually works in previous years, Steve's been around so that he would know this too. Usually, we want the town meeting to approve everything by the end of May, because you have to give the tax collector time prepare all the bills and all of that stuff. And usually um, the first part of the process, which is the hearing, usually that goes at the end of April or the very beginning of May. The board usually tries to do it at the end of April, but Dave is right. We don't get numbers from the state as quickly as we would like.
And also it's from, and when you get that hearing done, let's say it's at the end of April. We also are listening to the citizens, the voters, and we might ask for changes even then. And it's 2 weeks after that period. We can't have a town, you can't have a town vote, or you must have a town meeting where an actual vote occurs.
June 3rd.
It's 2 weeks after, you can't do it.
No, but the last date that you can get the town, my understanding is the last date that you could get your town budgets set is June 30th.
Yeah, but there was something in relation to the.
There may be a relationship in terms of
2 weeks.
the other two, but
So,
the last time that the town can act to approve it
yeah,
is June 30th.
and of course, we want to do that in May. We would want to get it all. done.
Yeah, and it makes it very difficult. It makes it very difficult for the tax collector to do her work if you don't have this stuff completed by the end of the week.
On Monday, we'll talk about the things we've been presented with and decide if we can recommend it, at least for the public to begin to ask their questions and things. And
That would be for the hearing.
yeah, for the hearing. And then after that's done, we assemble again to determine if we can send it for town meeting vote.
But Monday would be much improved if we had some sense, if we left the mill rate alone, what our expected revenue would be. So we know if we have a hole to fill. And if we do, whether we fill it through taxes or whether we fill it through release from the general fund. So I'd like to know that. I think just.
Even though we don't publish it, or it's just a guesstimate, to give us a sense.
Right, well, the tax revenue shouldn't be much of a guesstimate. We know the grand list, and if we assume the mill rate
It's the same.
stays the same, we know how much revenue we collect if we didn't raise the mill rate. The other sources, I think they were like $550,000 or something last year, if I recall. So we'll take our best guess at that based on what the treasurer tells us. And then we have a sense of what the whole budget picture looks like, not just the spending side.
Yeah, give you a sense at least. It won't really be definitive, but it'll give us a sense.
In order to schedule a hearing, though, the hearing has to have any of our suggestions in it.
The hearing also has to have your bottom line number that goes to.
That's what I'm saying. There's no
no.
discussion after that.
Oh, no, you can have discussion at the hearing, and suggestions can be asked.
Yes, but I mean, what you've given us, we discuss it amongst ourselves if we want it to go up or down, then it goes to a hearing.
Right.
That's right. So my next question to you is gonna be, if you're gonna discuss this on, when is it,
Monday.
Monday? If you do something different to, our proposal, but he's gonna let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On Monday night.
And that's why we move the dates around, so get stuff, any comments we have back to you in the statutorily mandated 10 days.
John, might I suggest that you make a motion so that the treasurer is aware of your request, so it's
Okay.
formally in the minutes?
Okay, so I move that, the treasurer, supply us, it's a pretty quick turnaround. By sometime on Monday before our meeting, what the, expected revenue would be based on 21 mil tax rate and the existing grant list, plus the best estimate or range of estimates of what the non-tax revenue would be. That's a long motion, but that's the motion.
And we have all those numbers already. By the way.
Yeah, this should not be a big deal.
Yeah. We,
You don't know what you're gonna get from the savings.
no, but she doesn't either.
Yeah, I know.
So we'll base it, as John suggests, on our best, on what we got this year is the only thing you could base it on. Or maybe something more conservative.
We have a second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Motion to adjourn?
Unless there's any other public comments? Thank you, like the motion to adjourn.
Thanks, Pat.
You bet.
Thank you, Pat.
I.
Amy.
I know.
Or big.
Where are you? Sure.